So, can Capcom just stop working with Netflix, please? Hi everyone, VGT Adam here. I just watched Monster Hunter Legends of the Guild, which I thought was gonna be like a short TV show, but it turned out to be like an hour long, not even an hour long, under an hour long movie, animated movie. Uh, it wasn't good. Like, I watched the Dragon's Dogma anime. I have a thoughts on a video on that if you want to check out my full thoughts. But it was subpar. There were some good things about it, but for the most part, it was just baffling. Just like the choices they made and some of the stuff. Um, I didn't watch Resident Evil Infinite Darkness. I think that is actually a TV show, but probably a short one. There's no way something of that quality animation could be multiple episodes, like huge amount of episodes. But I haven't watched it. I did do a quick look up to see how well that was rated. That wasn't rated too well either. And now I just watched the Monster Hunter one, and that's not good either. So, three animated shows slash movies on Netflix for Capcom, and three duds apparently. So, I guess really quick Monster Hunter experience. I started playing for Ultimate on Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate. I knew of some stuff beforehand, like I knew of it, and I got interested by watching some gameplay footage of people playing 3 Ultimate, so I decided to get 4 Ultimate, which ironically was also the one with the best story in the entire Monster Hunter series. But yeah, I liked it. It took me a while to really get used to it. A long time. Like it didn't really start clicking until I played World. Uh, yeah, that's how bad it was. That for 4 Ultimate, I didn't really like fully understand it until the next game. But I still enjoyed it. I still had fun. And then I played Monster Hunter World. Monster Hunter World was also really good. I'm currently playing Rise, on and off right now. I beat the main stuff and everything, but I'm just on and off with it. That's my Monster Hunter experience. I was not one of the OGs that started with it, but I have been around for at least a decent while. I didn't just start with World of Rise. I did start a little beforehand. So, yeah. Um, I have not watched the live action movie yet. I hear it, but I've seen quite a few clips. I hear it's awful, and I'm not surprised on that. I hear like the only good thing is the way the monsters look. The monsters look good, and that's literally it. I'm pretty sure I'll end up seeing that at some point. Probably not on my own volition, but I wouldn't be surprised if I end up seeing it at some point. Don't expect thoughts on it. Unless I really am desperate for just putting something on my channel, kind of like this one. Anyway, yeah, don't expect it at all or anytime soon if I ever even watch it. But yeah, I haven't watched the live action one. But I was curious about this one because I'm just like, okay, I feel like it would work a lot better if it is animated compared to live action. And it did and didn't. So let me just quickly get into it. So this story is technically a prequel to World because it starts off with uh, the Fifth Fleet heading off to the New World. The story's about, was it the Ace Cadet? He has like two different names. Like the Ace Cadet, they actually give him a name as Aiden, which that's fine. Um, but yeah, it starts off like they're on their way to New World, and Aiden's recounting his history of how he faced an Elder Dragon. And that takes place a lot more in the world of 4 Ultimate, and jumping the gun a little bit here because I have some notes just to keep on track. But I like that most of the monsters in here are from 4 Ultimate. Like there's Skilla, the spider one is from 4. Um, Kunga Ala is, or whatever that's called. It is from I think an older game, but I experienced it in 4. Devil Joe's from 3, but I experienced it in 4. I think Lunastra also was not in it, but it definitely had a lot more of a Monster Hunter 4, even Monster Hunter 3, or I guess Try, whatever, vibe to it compared. The only thing that was like resembling newer stuff was the world stuff in the very beginning and very end of the movie. But I liked that it didn't just have like only the new monsters. So it actually had pretty much only old monsters. It actually didn't have any new ones. It mentioned Zor Magdaros. They had the Velosa whatever, the Konga Ala, Devil Joe, Nurse Skilla, Lunastra. There was some, which is better than what the movie had. What, 3, and then teased the 4th one at the end. Anyway, So one thing I'll say though is that this movie being under an hour, pacing is non-existent. Like it moves so fast, and like yeah, there's no way we feel like, oh well, the pacing of this. No, it moves fast. It moves way too fast. Good fast and bad fast is up to you. Way too fast because the runtime says 58 minutes, but that doesn't that's including like credits and stuff like that. So it's under an hour. But the story just jumps in. It's like, yeah, we're heading off to see Zora Magdaros. Oh, you've never faced an Elder Dragon. Here's the story. Boom. Like, within, like, the first minute and a half, it's just, oh, well, okay, we're just into the main movie. Okay. That was just really jarring. Yeah, so one thing I want to mention is that it seems like this was animated with English as the first language in mind, because not only is there, I was gonna watch it in English anyway, but not only is there not a Japanese audio option, there's not even Japanese subtitles. There's other languages for like subtitles and audio, like there's German, Italian, French, Spanish, and stuff like that. But this was definitely made with English speakers in mind. Oddly enough, like why wouldn't there be like Monster Hunter is getting much bigger now in America, but it was always huge in Japan. It's still way bigger. There should be a Japanese option unless they get their own like version. I don't know. That seems a little weird to me. Like I was always gonna watch it in English, but I don't know. It seems a little weird to me. But me saying that is that it was animated for English. The lip sync seems so off. Like there's very few times where it seems to actually sync up to what they were saying. Like it seemed like they pulled actually a Japanese animation technique where maybe they did the lips first and then the actors had to dub over it. I don't know, but the lip sync was terrible compared to even Dragon's Dogma, where in that video I thought it was lip synced to Japanese and they just synced it up really well. No, it was lip synced to English. Can rectify that like how many months later, but that lip sync was also because I said it was like super done well. Yeah, because it was lip synced to English and you can tell that it was lip synced. It was done well. Like it matched for the most part. A couple of things here and there, but matched for the most part. This is the complete opposite. It seemed like it just didn't match whatsoever. Like it's weird. And then obviously like the most jarring thing. Okay, you know what? Hold on. The story. Okay, the basic story is that there's an elder dragon coming through a village, and it's gonna destroy that village and other villages possibly, unless the hunters can stop it. That's the basic gist of the movie, and that's fine. That's pretty much all you're getting, and that's all you need for a Monster Hunter movie. Anything like from a parallel dimension or whatever, dumb. That's all you need for a Monster Hunter movie. So, anyway, the biggest thing you're gonna notice is the animation quality, the quality of the CG models and everything like that. On the monsters, it's fine. The monsters CG models and everything look great. Problem is you do see monsters a good amount, but you definitely see the humans a lot more. And I looked up the animation company that animated this, Pure Imagination Studios. Most of the work they've done has been like mini Lego stuff. Like there's been a bunch of COVID PSAs they did, which unlike the Lego movie, which I think that was animated in a computer to look stop motion. These look like they were the same technique but with a less budget or just straight up stop motion. Like it looked like lesser quality. But the bigger thing I want to talk about is the most stuff that they've animated for is interactive rides. So, like, certain amusement parks will have, like, rides where, like, say you're in a seat and you need to shoot at the screen, but still kind of like a mini roller coaster in a way. Not like a full-on... You're not going to, like, be able to, like, do, like, shooting while doing loop-de-loops, but, like, I haven't been to a fucking amusement park forever. But, like, you'll have a lot of the new ones that have, like, their screens. You're in a small, like, theater with, little interactable chairs and stuff like that. They've done the animations for that. They have, was it Justice League Battle for Metropolis, Monkey King Journey to the West. I think there was a Marvel one, maybe. I think. Let me see. I'm on their site right now. I just want to see what they did. Yeah, there was a Marvel one, a Marvel 4D ride. Yeah, but most of it is Lego. So take people who once in a while maybe do like human-based animation, but for the most part do like Lego, and then give them the complex designs of Monster Hunter. This movie doesn't look good, like at all. It doesn't look good in the slightest. It looks like a direct-to-DVD movie from 2010 in the year 2021. So, like, I'm not saying this had to have, like, oh, this needs to look like World, or even look like Rise. Like, this looks like the CG of Monster Hunter Tri, which was how many years ago? Like, I feel like while you couldn't have, like, the CG match what we have for the games now, it could have been a little better. Like, it looks so cheap. And I think that's probably why they went to this company, because this company has done mostly, 4D rides, or interactive rides, or Lego PSAs. Like, they're a little more on the cheaper animation quality side. And you can tell, for the most part, I'll get to that a little later. Let's just say for the 98% of this is horribly animated. It's not like friggin' like the worst CG animation I've ever seen. It is still competently done. It's still functioning. It's not horrible, but it's not great. It doesn't look good. Oh my god, the fucking editing in this movie is actually the worst part of this movie. Because it's so short, and, like, the direction is just, for these scenes, are just so weird. Like, the editing in this is so jarring. It just jumps around everywhere. It jumps everywhere. Like, some shots make no sense. When they cut and why is just horrible. Lack of freaking... Like, music was barely recognizable. Like, I could barely hear the Devil Joe theme when it came in. I guess, spoilers, but who cares? It's Monster Hunter. Like, there's not too much to spoil. You fight monsters. Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, like, the sound effects were, like, not punchy at all. I could barely hear them. A lot of stock sound effects, too. Like, it just reeks of being cheap. And, like, I mentioned before the animation, it was so janky. Where did I put that? It's just so janky. But yeah, the editing, it just makes no sense. Like, what they decide to do, like, it's really hard to describe without you seeing it. If you can find I don't know if you should watch this whole thing, but if you can find a couple clips, you'll see what I'm talking about. If you can find some clips somewhere, my god, this movie is horribly edited. The editing is terrible. And this is coming from someone who doesn't have good edits myself. Look at my own videos. My editing is terrible. And I do honestly believe that the editing in this movie is worse. I think if I was able to get a cut of this movie, I could edit it a little better. Not much, granted, because I do admit I'm a bad editor. But I still think I can make it competent to what you're seeing. Like, when you make your scenes incomprehensible because of your shit editing, that's a problem. And I get it's under an hour movie, you have to make some cuts and stuff like that. But my god, the choices they choose, like, I would be surprised if there were any kind of extra deleted scenes. Like, this make it looked a lot more cohesive. Like, I feel like a lot more got cut out. Not story-wise, just, like, pacing-wise. Like, everything moves so fast and just frantic editing and just... Ugh, it's not good. It's not. Overall, this product is not good. It's... What were some of my other notes? And here's the worst part. Okay, so here's the worst part, is that it's not good, but you can see the potential. Like, you can actually see the potential. I think that this is the perfect representation of what a non-interactive Monster Hunter is. It seems like Monster Hunter only works well when it's interactable. Like I said, I still haven't seen the live-action movie, but from what I heard, it, takes itself too seriously. That's one thing I'll get this movie, that this movie's tone is pure Monster Hunter, is that it's silly for the most part. People say have really silly dialogue, they do silly things. It only gets serious towards the end when Elder Dragon shows up, which makes perfect sense, because that's what the games do too. Where it's silly until Elder Dragons show up, or it's like, oh yeah, fuck, run away, or fight to the bitter end. So that's the thing, there are some positives in this movie, and I want to quickly go over them, but the bad stuff is just so much more noticeable that you'll probably ignore the good stuff. Let me do one more full-on bad thing. The tone seems very kid-like, as in, like, the 7 to 12 range for the tone. But if you show this to a kid who's never played Monster Hunter, I'm sure they'll be entertained to an extent, but they'll still be confused as to, like, anything. Where like since I've played enough Monster Hunter games, I can understand what's going on. So it's like it's looks like it's made for kids, but unless those kids have played Monster Hunter, they won't get it. It's weird. And like most kid movies are not only enjoyable for all ages, and by all ages they mean literally all ages, not just all ages must mean kids. No, all ages is like 6 to fucking 99. We're talking like almost Lego numbers here, like Lego playset number here. But like if you had no knowledge of Monster Hunter, this is not gonna help. You're probably entertained by some stuff, but it's weird. It's weird like how they would do that. I don't know. The acting's fine. The voice acting's fine. Not much I can say about that. It seems bad because of how bad the lip sync is, and sometimes how overly done the lip sync is. So it seems like it's bad acting, but it's not. The acting's fine. Okay, so here are some of the positives I have. Like I said, the story being simple is oddly fitting, and it kind of makes it decent. It's just a straight up like, we're hunters. There's going to be a threat. We need to hunt some of the monsters that are part of that threat, plus the big one. It's the most bare bones Monster Hunter story, and it works perfectly fine for doing that. Trying to get too complex would ruin the entire thing, and the simple thing of monster coming, we need to beat monster, is fine. It's fine. It is. And it does have the essence of Monster Hunter down. Like, this really does feel like, when you think of a Monster Hunter movie, this gives you that feeling. It's weird. But if you watch it, it gives you that feeling that, yes, this is a Monster Hunter movie. This is probably the best way you can interpret this without it being playable. So it's got that down, too. And then, yeah, the action scenes are decent. Like, which is weird because the animation is still janky as hell. But the action scene... Yeah, here's the weird thing. I just realized this. The normal animation for like walking and talking and doing whatever is really janky, really stiff, really odd. The editing is all over the place. But both of those aren't a problem in the action scenes. Like, the action scenes are shot well. They have long shots. There's no weird editing. Well, there's still some, but it's a lot less. The animation's a lot better. Like, what happened? Like, that's usually a good thing, because, like, you know, best action shows, like, regardless of their overall quality, the best action shows usually have, like, all their effort put into the action scenes. It's just that usually, whether they're live action movies or TV shows where they have good action scenes, but also, you know, just good everything else, and then for animation, good animation in the action scenes, and hopefully decent animation otherwise. This is like, the animation's only good in the action scenes. It's weird. But the action scenes were decent. Like, obviously, they're not going to be as long as actual Monster Hunter fights. You can't... If each monster fight's approximately 15 minutes and can be complete in about 20 minutes, you can't really do that. So they had to be shorter than the games. But it does feel like a Monster Hunter fight. It really does. Like, with the planning and the teamwork and the multiple weapons and, like, the way they use the styles and everything, it does feel like it. It's really well done, surprisingly. One thing I also want to say is that, like, for all the people who are like, oh, well, this game is ammo abuse and it encourages people to hunt. No. First off, it's a video game. Shut the fuck up. Second off, this movie actually explains that, in that they only hunt monsters that are threats to environments. So they want to keep balance. That they literally say, hunting without a license is just straight up poaching. You're just doing a game, and that's illegal, and there will be repercussions for that. And hunters only hunt when there's a threat. If there's no threat, they'll leave it alone. If it's just nature being nature, they'll leave it. But if there's like a monster attacking a village or being in an area it shouldn't be, then they'll fight and defeat it and kill it. Well, they try not to kill it the best they can, but they'll fight and defeat it. So I always interpret this is how I always interpreted the games, is that your canon missions are the only ones that happen, and whenever you're grinding and like go on own missions just to increase your armor or weapons, I always take that as non-canon. So the whole like abuse of oh, you're just hunting these poor monsters. I always interpret that like whenever you're hunting monsters that aren't part of a story mission, that it's just gameplay. It's just done for the sake of the game. Like, you need the grind. Well, you don't need the grind. I wish they could somehow find a way to get rid of that, because it's still a pain even in Rise. But you do that for better armor, better weapons, better skills. That's the video game portion. But your main story portions, those are, if you notice, those are only when they're in the way of the party or they're causing a threat. And that's why I was interpreted that like they're protecting nature, and the other stuff is just game stuff. And this movie clarifies that yes, they only fight when to protect nature. So I'm glad that clears it up for nobody who's gonna be watching the movie. But yeah, also, people actually die in this film. I won't say who to spoil. You can spoil, but like whenever you're playing the game, like you always cart. Like even if you fail a mission, like it's just mission failed, and you're back in the hub. People die. Like that's something. I don't think that's something really games really acknowledge. Like, even for other like hunter NPCs, like NPCs. They never really mentioned hunters dying, like ever. So like, I'm shocked that some died. Like, I guess it's a spoiler to say that nobody cares. I guess it's a spoiler to say that some died, but I won't say who. But and like, if they weren't kind of semi off screen, they'd be really fucking gruesome too. But yeah, that's just coming. I won't say it's a positive or negative film. It's just something that surprised me. That, oh my god, they actually killed hunters. Holy shit. And they do a really good job of showing which Elder Dragon is a threat. Like, there's like two good, legitimately good shots in the film, and they're both centered around the Elder Dragon in this film. And they really do make it a threat, like, because you have a couple other monster fights. You have a couple other monster fights, and they show like these monsters are competent, but can still be taken down if you have a good team and everything. But then they show like, yeah, no, these Elder Dragons obviously a lot easier than in the games, but like are huge threats and will cause huge damage and be a problem. So yeah. So I guess those are my positives. My positives are the tone is on point, surprisingly. It does a great job of explaining why monster hunters hunt. They didn't just use newest monsters, they used some of the older monsters. The action scenes are actually kind of decent, surprisingly, and then people actually die. But everything else is bad. The story is just moves too fast, way too fast. The editing is fucking terrible. The lip sync is almost as bad. The overall animation is just so janky. Like, oh man, the quality of animation just seems like so cheap. It's kind of confused. The age range tone of it is confusing. Like, the actual tone of it is fine, but the age range wise, it's confusing. But it does capture the essence of Monster Hunter, which is the weirdest thing to me. So I feel like if we ever get a sequel, or a different team doing a different kind of Monster Hunter project, a different Legend of the Guild kind of thing, what I'm hoping is that, like, maybe put more effort into the budget of the animation and the lip quality, and maybe not flesh out the story, but make it a little more evenly paced, and make sure that the editing isn't like fucking VGT Atom bad. Like, please. But I mean, I would say overall it's bad, but like, if you're a fan of Monster Hunter, you might enjoy the action scenes at least. Like, they're at least worth a watch. And it's not just me being like, they're me like punchy people or hitting things with sword. Like, no, they actually feel like Monster Hunter fights. So, and I really can't get, like, unlike Dragon's Dogma, I was kind of comparing it to, like, the themes of the game and the tone and, like, all the stuff that happened in the game compared to the anime. I can't really do that because, like I said, there's really not much of a story, and whatever we do have is just plain basic Monster Hunter. I will say the dialogue, so Aiden's puns were terrible. Like, even in the movie they acknowledged it terrible, with, like, maybe one good one, which I didn't think it was even that good. But the dialogue is cheesy, but that's kind of Monster Hunter anyway, so as much as I don't want to give it a pass, I give it a pass. Just, those puns were just bad. The cat had, like, no reason to be in the movie whatsoever. Like, they try to give him a reason, but, like, you could have written him out and, like, had actual Palico partners, not just him. Like, he was so annoying. Palamute 2 knew they would have been in the movie. I'm pretty sure this was in development before Rise was, like, out, so I wouldn't be surprised. Because if it's more of a prequel to World, and this was definitely in development during World's development, not during Rise. Um, they should have just had actual Palicos with them. Uh, no, like there's like one character that's supposed to have a character arc, but like he kind of just solves it out of nowhere. Like, oh, you used to be a hunter. Well, I'm not like that anymore. Late in the movie, oh, I'm a hunter again. It's like, what caused you to change it? Like, there was nothing that would have caused you to change it. Like, there's a couple scenes where they have the hunters talk and like try to flesh things out more, but it doesn't work because the movie's so short. It just like doesn't aid in that. And like to my knowledge, the live action Monster Hunter movie is what, an hour and a half maybe. So it's like not even that much longer than this in a weird way. And I wouldn't be surprised if the pacing in that's better. But I don't know which one is better or worse. I can't compare because I still haven't watched the other one. I've seen enough clips, but I haven't watched it. I'm still so upset that Gormagala was just a sequel tease and not the actual final monster. But whatever. Yeah, but yeah. I don't think I'm gonna watch the Resident Evil one. I have no reason to. But of the two Capcom-based video game adaptations on Netflix that I've seen, one was subpar, one was bad and had one was subpar, which was Dragon's Dogma. One was really bad, but you can see potential, which was Legends of the Guild. So I don't know if, oh god, what's his name? Is it? It's not Avio Rod. I think it's Ari Sankar. I think the guy who produced the Castlevania series on Netflix. A couple of years ago, he said they were going to do Devil May Cry. If they do that, let's hope it's the quality of the Castlevania show and not the quality of these. I honestly don't want another. As much as I love Devil May Cry, we do have an anime, and with how sometimes what's the weird frame rate issues that Castlevania had, I don't want to see that in Devil May Cry action scenes, and I don't think Devil May Cry should have like as much dialogue as Castlevania did. I don't know. I'm getting a little off topic, but what I'm trying to say is that like if there are any more Capcom deals at Netflix for things, can we please just not like go off name recognition for profit? Can we make them good? Like, can we not just get Devil May Cry? It's just that's really bad, but they expect to do good because it has the name Devil May Cry in it. Can we get something good, please? Like, Dragon's Dogma is not one of their bigger IPs. Like, it's kind of a cult classic, but Resident Evil and Monster Hunter are some of your biggest IPs, and your adaptations for those are still bad. Like, I think every CG... I think like maybe one or two CG Resident Evil movies are okay, but like live action CG Resident Evil movies not doing well. The two Monster Hunter movies that we have, one live action, one CG, not great. So can we just get some quality control, please? I don't know if it's just Netflix being like, hey, let's just accept it, whatever, or Capcom being like, money, whatever. Can we just get some good ones, please? Please? Capcom, while you're at it, bring back some of your old dormant IPs, or at least put Asura's Wrath on a modern consoles with all DLC on it. That's off topic, but whatever. Yeah, so, sorry. Legends of the Guild, bad, but have potential. Check out the action scenes, I guess. Maybe get a sequel that improves on it. I don't know. It's just not great. Can we get better ones, please?